So the situation happened recently where one of my friends who spends a lot of time in the field in a conflict zone was approached by an international part of the FBI in order to deal with some knowledge of the local community that he had. And during conversations with these folk, they wanted to understand why the cyber culture, their wording of America, was not recruiting to them to help them fight these baddies. And my friend, of course, said, "Are you kidding me? You witch hunt the folk that would possibly help you." And so they got into a conversation about why there's such a severe disconnect between the structures that we have right now for ensuring the world is a safe place and some of the people who could either help or hinder that. So this is my friend who spends all of his time in the field, and this is me, your illustrator and narrator. And a lot of this story is about how trust plays into how people interact. This friend and I have a long history that's based on experience, such that now, if we need something, we don't necessarily have to explain why, we just ask about it, and the other person usually delivers. And it's not just us, of course, in this network of trust. We're also friends with journalists, and with activists, and with hackers, and with people who make policy. And we're all connected to each other because we believe in building a better future. While we build that future, we still have to exist in this one. We have to pay our rent. We have to eat food. We have to pay for our tools. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to worry about our brains and about having a good time and how we get to where we're going. Most of these things that we interact with on a regular basis, these structures, are codified in some way to ensure things like equal access. And there were times where your race or sexuality would influence your access. Most of that has to do with the legislative branch. The legislative branch feeds into the executive branch, which determines how things are, or how people are brought to justice, or like that people are brought in. And the place that they take those people is to the judiciary branch, which then makes sure that the laws that are being enforced are constitutional. Because we have a system of checks and balances, each of these groups is not supposed to directly interact, but rather to support each other without informing the other, except for in this very prescribed way. But that also means that they're completely separate from one another. There's no way of checking in to be sure that the goals of them are actually being reached, which means that there's this positive feedback loop that happens, this constant escalation that leads to draconian measures, which aids in overreach and overreaction against people, especially those who would critique that system and setup, which then means there's a barrier between the people and its government, and there's no clear way of calling out if something is not working. There are, of course, people that don't critique this system, and that's okay. They have an easy enough time, given how things are structured. And often people that are not prone to critiquing this system, or that believe that it delivers on its promises more than it fails in them, sign up to support it and be a part of it. One of the easiest ways to do that is, of course, into the executive branch. But people who have signed up for this and who believe the system is acting in the way it should often see this anger coming from those critiquing the system and wonder why the anger exists. They're able to pay their rent and their bills, etc., and so I wonder, there must be something wrong here. There must be some misunderstanding. And because they are good people, they want to resolve that misunderstanding. And so they reach out to people that they already have overlap with, such as my friend in the field. And because we constantly struggle with if we should tear down the system or work with what's there, the opportunity to have a dialogue around how the system as it stands can change is a beautiful one, and one which we would like to seize upon. The difficulty lies in that these are actually separate conversations. The first is looking at the symptom, the anger. The others are looking at the system itself. And so all of these people that are a part of the network of trust, in trying to interact with that system, get only fed into the positive feedback loop that it supports. While the people that you're talking to on the formal side of the system might have your best interests at heart, Even if they look out for you, the people around them don't have to. And the policies that they have in place will encourage whatever information you bring them to be used for what the system is good at, which is crushing us right now. We have to figure out a way to address this. We have to figure out a way that individuals within the system can change it, and that those who critique it from without can also change it.